Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. First of all, if you haven't checked out the Q&A this week, please go and do so. It's a good one. If you don't know what the review show special is, basically I take a deep dive into a particular subject, a particular creator, and I tell you everything that you need to know about this subject. And today, I'm going to be talking about a brand new effect from a very good friend of mine, somebody who I work with an awful lot, and his name is Phill Smith. And Phill has brought out a marked tarot deck. We have it here, the Bunica tarot deck. Now, I'll tell you right now, me and Phill are very good friends, and I've worked with Phill on many, many projects. However, I am going to review this and give it my 100%. I'm going to honestly tell you exactly what I think about it, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to know in order to make an informed decision as to whether to buy it or not. There's a lot to actually talk to you about with this tarot deck, so I'm going to get into it straight away. So I don't understand why there's never been a marked tarot deck before, and I'm so glad that Phill took this project on. If you don't know, this started off as a Kickstarter and got funded very, very quickly. And off the back of the Kickstarter, it has now gone into Murphy's Magic and is therefore available from all of the good magic dealers. So you can get this from Phill directly, you can get it from all magic dealers. But in essence, it is the tarot deck that was originally launched on Kickstarter. Now, to say this is just a tarot deck is really giving it a disservice, because there's so much that you can do with this. It is absolutely, completely and totally crazy. And before we actually get into the review, I was able to sit down with Phill. So I sat down with Phill Smith and we had a chat through the Bunica tarot deck. We talked about where it came from, the idea behind it, the features of the tarot deck. We talked about absolutely everything. So before we go any further with the review, I'm going to swing over to this interview, show you the interview with Phill. He talks about this in great detail. Then I'll bring it back into the studio and I'll give it a full review. Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. As you just heard, I am looking at a brand new deck of cards from who I consider to be probably the #1 genius in magic and mentalism and playing card graphic design systems, and an all-around wonderful guy who basically has made me look good my entire career. The one and only, the absolutely incredible Phill Smith is on this channel, and we're talking about a brand new product from Phill. Phill, always a pleasure having you on Magic TV. How you doing, my friend?
Thanks for having me, Craig. Yeah, very good, thank you. All good.
I get excited whenever I see something coming from you, because I just know, because we speak quite often, and so I know how hard you work on everything that comes out. Like, you see a lot of items, because I review items, I see a lot of stuff, and I can look at it and I can go, yeah, that's completely and totally rushed to market. That was an idea that
Don't start more beef with more people, Craig. You don't need more beef.
I'm being good now. At least I'm trying to. I don't know how long it's going to last, until the next 50-page thread on the Magic Cafe.
There we go.
But I'm trying to be good. But no, your stuff is so well thought through. Everything that you bring out, and I think a lot of people, not everybody, but maybe newer people into Magic, they don't realize just how much you've contributed to the art of mentalism, as well as the graphic design side of things. I speak to people and I go, oh, have you read Phill Smith stuff? And they're like, oh, the graphic designer, the guy that's experts at playing cards. I'm like, well, yeah, that's one aspect of what he does. But have you read the codex? I mean, there's so much that you do, and that's one of the reasons I love working with you.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Just keep. I think a part of it is just like having stuck around for a while in Magic, and just gradually trying to like chip away at having some kind of positive influence, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that there's nobody that does more when it comes to playing card marking systems with you. I mean, you've literally changed the game over and over again.
I thought about this, and I think that I might have designed more marked playing cards than anyone ever. I'm not sure that that's an important title. I don't think that the Guinness World Records are going to give me a plaque for the war, but I'm glad to have found a little weird niche, and I feel like it's quite an interesting little space sometimes.
And it keeps evolving. Obviously, you work that way of marking entire words on cards, and I've just reviewed recently the new David Jonathan trick through Vanishing Ink,
where the marks are being used in a completely different way to how a mark should be used. You know, you keep innovating, you keep changing things up. And so anytime I see something come out that involves a marking system, I'm just like, right, this is going to be good. And this one that we're talking about today is very special.
Well, this is a fun one because I've done a lot of work and developed some of these sort of techniques and workflow on projects with you a lot of the time. So I think that was where we kind of refined down this way of doing word markings. But the new thing that I kind of wanted to explore was the tarot. So this thing that I think that we're going to talk about, this Bunica tarot, is a sort of fully marked annotated tarot deck that's been a really yeah, it was really interesting to put together.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I know that there's going to be some magicians that are going to be watching this, and they're going to go, "Oh, tarot! I would never use that in my performance. I would never use a tarot deck. I don't believe in readings." And look, it doesn't matter whether you are a tarot reader or not a tarot reader, or you've never picked up a tarot deck before. The point, at least for I'm not a tarot reader by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do recognize that the tarot deck is an absolutely recognizable thing to pretty much everybody, you know, and it goes way back. It has been for years. I'll never forget that iconic James Bond scene where he's trying to get with that girl, and he's got that force deck of tarot cards, you know, with lovers on it, and it's been depicted so many times in movies and films and TV shows and pop culture. Even if you never do a reading in your life, bringing this out in a gig or a social situation makes it recognizable, right?
It's a kind of iconic design. It's a I just did that whilst I was reading on Wikipedia this morning about the original. So my deck is if people are familiar with it, it's called the Rider-Waite. It's one of the most common like visuals. So all of the images were designed in 1909 by Pamela Coleman Smith. And it's when people think of a tarot deck, it's that's what they think of, and that's why I wanted to use that iconography rather than like draw my own ones. But I was looking on Wikipedia this morning, and they reckon that this particular style of deck, the Rider-Waite deck is called, has been printed over 100 million times, which means that for every 70 or 80 people on the face of the planet, there's one of these decks. So it's that common, it's that sort of iconic. And it's in a way almost as recognizable as, you know, regular playing cards, because people play cards less now, but a lot of people still have tarot readings. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to sort of explore this space, is to, I don't know, sort of dig into that and investigate that rather than getting just stuck with playing cards.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I didn't even know. Oh, hang on. Stop that talking. I didn't even know any of that, to be perfectly honest. That's kind of, because I do see lots of different tarot decks. I suppose that people just adapt them over time. But you're right. The look of the deck that you've produced is very iconic.
Yeah. So that I'm in a lucky position that I kind of would like to have like drawn all of my own ones and create something that's completely unique like that. But in the same way as trying to make, for example, the faces on, say, the Elysian Duets, my mark deck, just completely regular, is because if you're doing something where you're creating a prop that has got some kind of weird intrinsic method to it, you want it to feel as recognizable as possible, so people don't consider it to be unusual. You get it slides underneath the radar. So using these sort of iconic, recognizable imagery like allows you to sneak some of this stuff past, which is lucky because the actual, you know, the deck itself, it does a lot of different things, and I think that that's one of the things that like necessitated using that very old-fashioned style.
Completely. And obviously, because it's a Phill Smith product, what we have is we have something way beyond just a tarot deck.
Yeah. Let me. I've got one here. I think.
Yes.
So, rather than just being a regular tarot, call it the annotated tarot. So the idea is that one of the things that stops a lot of people from, like even beginning referencing or using tarot in some of their performances, is that there's a huge amount of learning that's involved. So if you've seen Luke Jamay, for example, he's an incredible tarot performer and reader. But his entire backstory, which I believe is true, is that since he was a child, he learned the meanings of the cards and everything that was associated with them. And that's very intimidating to begin to start, you know, learning to perform using tarot, whether it's going to be doing readings or if you're doing kind of reading themed magic, which is what I do. So rather than just have just the cards, I added on the meaning, which is this bit at the top. So for the 4 of pentagrams or pentacles, it's stability. When you do a reading, when the card is inverted, the meaning is kind of not quite reversed, but like given an alternative framing. So stability and freed. Is that freed? Or yeah, no, it's freed. Yeah. So they're like the two halves of the same coin as the meaning. So that's like on there as though it was handwritten. And the other thing that's on there that I think this is the framework that I use when I'm using this to perform is that every single one of the cards has got a question of the kind that somebody might ask when they're going for a reading. So if you want to do a mind reading piece where you're finding out, what question someone's thinking of, and then perhaps using either the cards or your intuition to come up with some kind of, amusing or engaging answer to that, then that gives you the option to either like force or to read the question that they're thinking of. Because
so it's almost like a crib, but it's an open crib that's literally hidden there.
Well, the idea is that if you, rather than doing a full reading, because I find it like, I talk huge amounts about this in the instructions, so I won't go dig into it too much now. But like in a way, tarot is kind of too important in terms of being able to give people advice, and it has that kind of cultural weight that it's a bit cheesy or almost slightly risky to just go wading in as a magician and be like, let me tell you how to live your life because I can, read this. So I always frame it as a kind of like I'm learning how to do it. And I give people a small number of cards for them to take, and they pick a question that they would like to know the answer to. So rather than if you said to somebody, look, I want you to think about a problem in your life that you really want an answer to, that's too heavy. That's too heavy. Whereas if you kind of like fake it by, they've got these like slightly quirky questions, which aren't like that personal. It allows you to perform kind of the framework of a reading without like digging too closely into something that might actually be an issue in their life, if that makes sense.
That's clever. And I know you had a really clever justification for the writing on the tarot cards as well, because obviously it's there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
When we first spoke about it, you were talking about how you picked it up from a relative or a neighbor.
Yeah, the idea was that that there's an old lady in the town who reads tarot, and I was fascinated by this and wanted to learn how to do it. And she's got a deck that she calls a learner deck that her and the person who taught her and the person who taught her and the person who taught her have written all of these instructions on. And so I've got, that That's deck right. as a gift. And that sort of explains it. I generally don't like mention that when I'm performing, but that's sort of like my mental explanation for it. And if somebody ever wants to talk about it, then that's, I find that a lot of the time with like justifications and things, the person you need to convince the most is yourself, because then when you perform, you sort of subconsciously communicate that it's a given that it is this way. And because you know that if somebody asks you the question, you're not going to be like, it's because, because you can just immediately dig into an almost real story. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing.
So okay, the sort of the literal flip side of this sort of like annotated front, and annotated tarot isn't new. I'm not the like come up with that myself. It's designed to look handwritten and slightly aged so it fits that story. But then all of the information that's on the front of the deck is marked on the back using a sort of like a bespoke marking system.
Which is incredible. I mean, there's a lot of information that you're marking on, right?
So the idea with it is that from the back of the card, if they take a card, this is the question they're going to consider, put it face down on the table, you now know what the question is. Because I think the question is more important than just being able to say, you're thinking of the 4 of Swords. That doesn't have weight. Whereas if you can just immediately skip to the question, but it does also say what this card is, what the card above it in a stack is, what the meaning of this card is, what the inverted meaning of this card is, what the question is. And because it's in a randomized stack, it also has the numerical position so that you can quickly get back into stack. Or if somebody's taken a card out, looked at it and put it back, by going through the cards. If they're in stack order, you can immediately know which one theirs is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun, and it was an interesting sort of exercise, just technically, to be able to figure out how to condense all of that on there, so that it's as readable as possible, but but without being like very obviously like marked with that information.
Well,
Yeah, so
they are easy to read, but it's almost impossible to see the information on there, which is great. And I think, does it help that by their inherent nature, tarot cards are slightly larger? Does that?
I mean, yeah, you can see like compared to it's got you've got a little bit of extra length to put in, and I've put as much of the question on as possible, for example. So, yeah, so sometimes it's had to be condensed down, but it's designed around being able to put as much in as possible, so that you don't have to do a lot of sort of memorization. There's no memorization involved in it, but I do recommend when people have done it that they read through the questions. So the first time they don't encounter each question is not when someone expects them to answer it in some way.
Absolutely. The other thing is, I know that some people that were watching this will hear the word stack and they'll go running a mile because they'll be like, I don't do stack work. As with a lot of your decks, I'm correct in the saying that this will still work exactly the same.
Yeah, the stack is essentially just a sort of a methodological flourish that I don't generally use it in stack. It's just if you ever did want to use something where you need to know what card has been cut to rather than this card, it's just something that I built in. So it's a little bit of extra work, a little bit at my end when I'm doing the development for it. But it gives people more options when they're developing their own material. You know, we always talk about this in terms of when the projects that we're working on or that I'm doing the design work for you, is that if there's something else that we can put in, even if like 2 people ever use it, some weird little feature, and it's not a complete killer to do, why not, why not put it in so those 2 people have like a great moment, and everyone else is just like, I'm never going to use that, but I don't care.
The perfect example is when you developed Focus for me, and without even asking, and it was an amazing idea. You put a QR code on the bottom with a link to X-Men, and then a few weeks later, David Jonathan brings out a trick called Decode, which takes any QR code, and it can redirect it to anything anywhere. So, David's got this whole system set up in Decode now, built into Focus, where they can pick any film and they scan the QR code and it takes them to the movie poster of the film.
That's cool.
And without you putting that QR code in place, that wouldn't have happened. And that's what you mean, right? Even if there's something that only a couple of people use, it's worth having in there.
I think just like behind the curtain of magic, as 2 people who sort of like develop magic stuff, there's always going to be people that we're designing and creating magic for who will get the trick, open it up, read the instruction, and then that thing is how they use it. And that's great because it allows us to like understand and tailor that particular bit. And then there's I think a smaller number of people for whom developing their own material is a big part of their interest in magic. And it's nice to be able to add tools in that are specifically for them, that are like acknowledge that approach, rather than just people who open it up and they'll read the script. Sometimes I see people talking about like derogatory comments on like the Magic Cafe Surprise about people who just perform with the script that the trick comes with. I'd be delighted if somebody performed with the script that any of my tricks come with. I work really hard on that script. That's my script. Like if you want to use that, there's a good reason why it's like that. But conversely, if people want to just completely shove that to the side, and that's the same with this. I've got like on my tutorial, I really treat just the reading themed trick that I do in like 2 levels of depth. And if people only perform that, that's kind of the core of why I designed it. I wanted it to be able to do that. And then there's all of this other stuff that it does, like additional features and details.
And I think that there's going to be people that buy this and they're going to go in a completely different direction with it, because you could take a lot of the stuff that you do in stack work, a lot of the stuff that you do in card magic, or magic with marked decks, or whatever the case may be, and you can apply it to this tarot deck and completely change the feel of the routine.
I think increasingly people are less like connected to and interested in regular playing cards, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of the sort of innovative and unusual and weird and thematic decks that have come out work, is because there's loads of incredible card magic. Look, I've got like loads of, I think it's this shelf here, loads of books of just like way more card tricks than I could ever learn and perform, and there's some incredible stuff in there, but people don't really, they're not that invested in playing cards in the way that they were, say, 60 or 70 years ago. But this stuff is still like incredible. So by switching to something that has a different kind of resonance and that you can build a different framework around, rather than just, I'm going to show you a card trick with a regular deck of cards.
Yeah.
So with the tarot, what is interesting is that the majority of the performance is not to do with the deck at all. It's about using a piece of information that has given you to build a personal connection with the person that you're sort of performing with or for. And that's, I think that's what gives it its strength in a way, as well as that, the weight that we talked about of its presence in culture. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is. And so much thought has gone into it. Will you, I mean, I know you don't typically do this with a lot of your products, but will there be some sort of Facebook group set up or something? Because people have been asking for marked tarot decks.
Yeah.
For so long. Like you look back and people have been asking for this for years, which is just, I'm so glad you've finally done this. And I think that a lot of people have ideas for this and they'll pick it up. And I think it'd be great to have a place where people can share ideas.
I think I need to do that. I've got my mailing list of people who supported the Kickstarter and who've bought them since then. So I really need to do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because
you're just interviewing me, not just telling me off and not having done stuff.
Well, I want to go somewhere and share some ideas I've got. So rather than just
I'll get on that. Yeah, I'll send you an invite.
Thank you. Yes, please. I'll admin it for you. Brilliant. Okay, so that's out now. It's now, the Kickstarter's done.
Yeah.
Their orders have been fulfilled, and this has now gone out to Murphy's. So if people don't know what that means, it means that although you can buy them directly from Phill, and you should wherever possible, because obviously it's great to support the creator and the inventor and the developer of this. If you have a local magic shop that you want to get things from instead, they can get it from Murphy's, and you can get it from any magic shop in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, there might be reasons why you might not want to be importing stuff from the UK into America at the moment. I don't want to point any fingers anywhere. But no, there's loads of reasons. Like supporting your local magic shop is great. If they don't have this in stock, if they get stuff from Murphy's, then it might be worth just asking if they can get them in. If there's somebody that you like to buy from. I always like, if people, it doesn't like trouble me if somebody buys them from like a magic shop rather than direct from me, because I love dealing with Murphy's as well. I always have a nice time talking to Kathy and Lydia and all of the team there.
Oh, they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
I can't let you go without asking this question.
Yeah, you can. Bye.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'll get kicked. What are, well, I mean, obviously you're always working on about 1,000 different projects.
For you?
For me, I worked out the other day, I've got about 8 things that I'm currently either filming or developing, and it's all you. Even stuff that people don't realize is you, like the big blind poker chips. I was saying to someone the other day, Phill design those.
That was quite a long time ago. That was.
Phill design those. Cheetah chips. Phill design those. Like, there's I've got a trick coming out with Penguin at some point with just one gaffed card. Phill design that.
I did it. That's me. Everywhere.
So I've got but you're always working on projects for other people, but and you're always kept busy with that. Are there things that you're working on yourself at the moment that?
We're in sort of prototype stage for a couple of things of mine, and I'm trying to find time to squeeze in work on another project. So I've got we were just talking briefly about it a moment ago. This so my updated alphabet deck, using the same system that's on my Elysian Duets, is in prototype. I think that we might be doing a Kickstarter with that in a little bit. And it's I always love performing with this sort of like marked alphabet deck, and hopefully this is going to add some things on that will expand what people can do.
Well, the alphas was so popular.
Yeah, yeah, not quite popular enough that I haven't still got a few of them in the storage unit.
Right.
No, so yeah, so that was one of my favorite things to perform with. And it's a case of sort of looking at what like additions there have been to how I can work and how, you know, what things came about during the development of that, and then circling back round and figuring out how to build using the feedback that we've got from people. That's always a really valuable thing. Like with this, with the Bunica tarot, which is my tarot deck, there was the moment I mentioned that we were working on a Mark tarot deck was immediately besieged by people who were like, "Oh, you should do, you know, such and such," and you know, it will be the same with the alphabet deck. Is like looking back through comments that people have made and working out like how we can incorporate those to make it as good as possible.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's sort of relatively near to being done. I've got a weird sort of mentalism kit that I'm putting together bit by bit that I will bore everybody with at a future point. And I'm kind of trying to get the framework together for writing the follow-on for the Mythology Codex, which I've got a concept of a plan for. But beyond that,
Codex is massive.
yeah, I mean the problem with that is I want to produce something that is like a fitting successor to that as a project, because it was a big like important thing that I created for just in my life. But it also took a huge amount of work to do because it's a compilation of like 4 books that took, you know, 12, 13 years to write.
Yeah.
And so being able to create one follow-up to that is going to be like quite heavy, but I think it's going to be really cool, interesting. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I would love to see that book. Please make
Yeah,
it
me too.
that's incredible. And on behalf of the Magic community, obviously, my favorite Christmas trick of all time now is the Christmas version of the
the FMP, yeah, the Fusion Mosaic Phenomenon, Christmas one, yeah.
On behalf of the Magic community, please do a Halloween version, please.
Yes, I have again started.
I could just imagine having like really cool dark image. Halloween's really big for me. I do so many Halloween gigs at, like all through October and the beginning of November, and having that in my, and also if you made it the right way, you could have it so that it'd work all year round, because people love scary movies all year round. If you made it iconically sort of themed in the right way, I think that you could have it work all year round. But
I'll have a think about that. Yeah, I've got a Google Docs document with that on it, with the ones that I've planned out for it, what the different things are going to be, and it was just a case of sitting down and just like, because I don't, if you, the way that the back on the FMPX, the Christmas Fusion Mosaic Phenomenon works, is that's my favorite way of doing it now, and I kind of
brilliant. It's
so straightforward and simple to perform. I kind of want to redo. I want that to be the way going forward, and I've got an idea of how to do it with the FMPH Halloween. I don't know. Yeah, figure it out.
That's
so
great.
I think that would be good to do. That would be fun to do.
That would be amazing. Phill, thank you so much. I'm going to take this back into the studio now. I'm going to attempt to perform it and try not to butcher your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trick. And I'm going to give it a full review. Spoiler for everybody watching. It's amazing. But one more time, Phill, thank you so much. And for anybody watching this, if you want to work with Phill, you can do so. If you've got an idea for a trick and you want somebody, I will say, as somebody who's worked with Phill on so many projects, the great thing with Phill is because he is incredibly knowledgeable about magic and mentalism, as well as his experience with marking systems, as well as his experience with graphic design and everything else that he does. If you have an idea for something, it's not just a case of, yeah, I can design that. It's a case of, yeah, I can design that, but also you can do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You are the best person to work with. If people have an idea and they want to work with you, they can reach out to you, right? Your website will be down below. It's Phill Smith Creative, is that right?
Phill Smith Creative with 2 L's, or 1 L actually. I bought that just in case people didn't spell it right, so I didn't have to do it. PhillSmithCreative.com, however you want to spell it. Yeah. And
yeah,
thanks for mentioning that.
it's worth mentioning, because I do get asked all the time, can you connect me with Phill? I'm like, well, I can connect you with Phill, but You know, he's available to hire. You know, you can actually just contact him yourself and say, Phill, I've got an idea. Please work with me. I don't need to connect you. I'm more than happy to. I get that question all the time. So yeah, if you want to work with Phill, he's an easy man to find. Just message him and he'll be able to tell you how he can help. So
Yeah, I'll send you an invoice.
there you go.
That's how you can help.
Actually, I've got an invoice to pay for you today as well.
There you go. I will send you an invoice.
Phill, thank you so much. I'm going to bring it back into the studio, and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Craig. Nice talking to you again, dude.
Take care, mate.
So there you go. That is Phill Smith talking about this deck, and I want to say thanks for Phill. He's a very busy guy. Thank you for taking time to jump on the channel and talk to me about the tarot deck. Now, I will be open and honest with you. I have never really done anything with the tarot deck before. Many years ago, when I was a lot younger, I did some tarot readings and I learned the tarot. And we're talking about probably 20 years ago now. I learned the tarot and I did some tarot readings just to help out an entertainment agency that gave me quite a lot of work at the time. But to say that my style isn't indicative of tarot is an understatement, in all honesty. So I have got a performance of this to Thea, which you're going to see in a few minutes. It is the worst performance in the world. Not that I'm exposing anything, it's just that it's going to take me a long time to be able to present this in a way where I can actually do it justice, because I'm not an expert when it comes to. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not very good at, and I've never been a great storyteller in magic. And a lot of people that use tarot, they are storytellers and typically mentalists. And if you're a storyteller or you're a mentalist, this is going to be like your dream come true. It really is, because this is just perfect. I mean, first of all, the cards, the actual quality of them are amazing. The cards are really good quality. And they look kind of aged as well, which is great. I love the fact that you've got all the questions on there, because as a mentalist, if you want to actually perform this, there's so many different ways that you can actually go with this. You could do a proper reading with it, and the writing on the cards is going to help you to do a proper reading. You can have them take a card and you can tell them what the card is they're thinking of. You can tell them what the meaning of the card is, because obviously in this case on the Chariot, it's got willpower. So I can tell them the meaning. I can do what I did in the performance to Thea that you're going to see in a few minutes, where I have them read the question and I tell them what the question is that they're thinking of and give them an answer. Now, the tutorial by Phill is brilliant. It's a longer thing where he's going to explain exactly how to kind of do a reading with these cards. And the tutorial is fantastic. It's not the longest tutorial in the world, but it doesn't need to be. The thing that you need to know about these cards, which is really important, is the markings are absolutely brilliant. You could stare at these cards and you would not know anything. You would not think that you know anything, but you actually know everything. Like, it's so clever the way it works. Like the actual question is written right there in front of you. How can I be more confident? How can I take care of my health? What do I need? What do I need to do to apologize? How can I be kinder to myself? All these sort of questions. You can see them immediately, but it's in stack. It doesn't need to be in stack. When you see the performance that I do to Thea, I'm not using the stack. Now I could have her cut the cards and take one card and look at it. I could look over here, but in all honesty, the way that this deck works and what you actually have here, you don't need to do that. You've got access to all of this information immediately. And look, Phill has always been great with marking systems. Phill is, in my opinion, the world's leading expert when it comes to playing card marking systems, graphic design in cards, and the fact that he's a mentalist as well, and he is very aware of all mentalism and magic principles, as well as being an incredible designer, means that he is the go-to guy for anything like this. And that's why so many people in the industry that take their work seriously use Phill Smith. But You know, Phil's brought this out through his own production company, through Phill Smith Creative, and he's taken, you know, all of the work that he's done on playing card marking systems over the last few years, starting with Evoke and going all the way up to Persona, and he has infused it into this pack of cards, this tarot pack, and created something very, very, very special. And that's what this is. This is very, very special. It's brilliant. If you are new to tarot, the information that Phill is going to give you in the tutorial is worth its weight in gold, because it's going to tell you everything that you need to know. If you are not wanting to use it to do a reading and you're wanting to use it as just to do some mind reading, this is kind of an interesting thing to bring out. And I talked about this in the interview with Phill that you guys just watched, but everybody knows what a tarot deck is. And because everyone knows what a tarot deck is, everyone, you know, when you bring them out, that people will recognize them immediately. I love the fact that Phill has gone for the same design that most people are aware of with tarot. So it's an immediately recognizable object. So when you bring something like this out, people know what it is immediately, which means that if you just want to use this as a mind reading device, you can. If you just want to have a marked tarot deck that you can use to tell people exactly what they're thinking of, you can. If you want to use the writing on the front of the cards to be able to you know, give people a reading and accurately give people a reading based on the on what's on the front of the cards, you can. If you want to combine something, you can. I mean, really creative people are going to come up with some really smart ways of using this. I'm going to show you a performance to Thea. Like I said, on this channel, we perform everything that we do. It would take me months to get to a position, maybe not months, but it'd take me weeks to get to a position where I can perform this with any amount of credibility. I just wanted to show you a brief performance of the sort of thing that you can do. I will say that after filming the performance that you're about to see with Thea, she turned around to me and she said, I absolutely love that. I've got no idea how it worked. And it is so easy to be able to use straight away. But let's have a look at this performance to Thea. We're gonna do a trick with the tarot deck. I feel like I'm gonna butcher Phil's trick, man. I really I am not a tarot magician by any stretch of the imagination. Phil, if you're watching this, I apologise. I'm gonna give my best shot. Right, okay. Have you heard of tarot cards before?
No.
You've no idea what tarot cards are? Okay, well, basically, tarot cards are fortune-telling cards. There's 78 cards in a tarot deck, so it's bigger than a normal deck. And it doesn't have clubs or hearts or spades or diamonds. There's loads of different weird cards. So you have, like, the major arcana and the minor arcana. Get me, spitting my tarot knowledge. There's major arcana and there's minor arcana, right? And the major arcana is stuff like different cards, and that's like the High Priestess, for example. And then instead of clubs and hearts and spades and diamonds, you have like pentacles. So this is the Queen of Pentacles. And don't you think the artwork on it is beautiful? Just really, really nice. Really, really nice. So that is like Roman numerals. That's 9. You know that, right? Yeah. So that's a 9. That's a 7, right? Okay. The major arcana is all death. Now, the different cards in a tarot deck don't necessarily mean what you think them to mean. Now, if you got a card given to you and it said death, would you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing?
You'd think it's a bad thing, right? But it's actually not, because death, the card death, if you're given the death card, it actually means transformation. It means like starting again. Now, the reason I know this, it's not because I'm an expert at tarot, Thea, by any stretch of the imagination. So there's an old lady who used to live by me when I lived in Bloxwich, before you were even born. And she was known as the local fortune teller. She used to read people's fortunes. Now, whether you believe that people can read your future or not, do you believe people can tell you your future?
No.
No? Whether you believe it or not, she kind of was the person that everybody went to. And a lot of the time, when you're a fortune teller, you're not really telling the fortune. You're basically just reading the card. So in other words, somebody would put a card down or a series of cards and you would tell them what the cards mean. And it's kind of giving people advice. But a lot of the time it comes true. And I've never understood the tarot deck. It's always confused me. And do you notice there's writing all over these cards? The reason there's writing is because this old lady gave me this deck. I went to her house and I was like, well, so tell me how this tarot thing works. And she actually gave me her first deck, and this is her first deck. And these are all the notes that she had written about the different cards. So death, you can see there, she's wrote transformation. And here she's wrote stagnation. So it tells you what each one of these cards mean. So like this one here, that's the swords card. That's like instead of spades, you've got swords. So that's the I don't know, that's the whatever of swords, and that means rest. You get it. And she'd also wrote different questions that people had asked her over her fortune-telling career. So at some point, somebody said, what is my soul's purpose in this lifetime? Which is a little bit deep for a 10-year-old girl. Another one is, how can I get rich? That's quite not as deep. How can you get rich? How do you get rich, dear? Well, get lots of money. I love that. That's amazing. So basically, these are tarot cards, right? Now, you don't believe in tarot. You don't believe that I could tell you your future.
I don't.
You're going to get married to a handsome prince, and you're going to be a princess, and you're going to live in an ice palace, and you're going to have a talking snowman as a best friend. There you go. Let it go. But we're going to try and do something. I'm going to try and use this tarot deck to try and read your mind. Okay. Now, like I said, on each one of them, there's there's questions. So this one is, how can I find everlasting love? Easy. Marry your mom. My mom. My wife. No, you don't marry your mom. It'd be weird if you marry your mom. Don't marry your mom. What I mean is, I found everlasting by marrying. Let's move on. So we're gonna shut up. Shut up. What I want you to do, we're gonna pick one at random. So I want you to cut somewhere and complete the cut. Can you do that for me? Or you could just throw them all over the place. It's up to you. You want to put those on top. Do you want to cut again? Or are you okay? Oh, you do? Okay. That's not cutting, that's lifting up the cards. There we go, thank you. These are big, heavy... Okay, right. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Now, we're going to do this a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you've cut randomly. I want you to take that card. Don't let me see it. And I want you to read the question. Can you see the question? Can you see the question? Yes? Does that...
show the camera?
No, just keep it to yourself. Does that question make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, put it down and put your hand on it so I can't see what... Just cover it. Cover it like that so I can't... Concentrate on the question. Concentrate on the question. This is a question that you've actually thought before.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. This is a question about something that's important to you. This is a question about love, isn't it?
Possibly.
Possibly. This is a question about love. This is a question about love. This is a question about... You are asking, you are thinking of the question, will you marry the person that you're dating?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The answer is no, because she's single. You dumped the guy. Didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dumped him in the trash like he was nothing. Kicked him to the curb. Boom! No, you're not going to marry the person you're dating, because right now you are free and single. Up there, girlfriend. Let's try this one more time. What has my life become?
That's what happens when you do tarot.
Tarot readings for a 10-year-old girl. Cut the deck, complete the cut.
Another one.
Sorry?
Another one.
Definitely. Cut again. No, cut again. Cut again. You absolutely want to cut the cards again. Cut the cards again. I'll cut the cards for you. Right, okay. Now cut them again. Oh my God. Hang on. Look. Do you want to cut again?
Yes.
Hang on. You can't cut again if you've taken the card. You either take that card or you cut again.
No, I do something. I was gonna take this card, do that.
So, which one are we looking at now? The one on the bottom?
On the top.
The one on the top. Have a look at it then.
Got it.
You got it?
Mhm.
Put it down so I can't see it. Think about the question in your head. Look at me. Look at me. Yes, you will. There is a person out there for everybody, including somebody as smelly as you. You're thinking about, will you ever find love? Am I right?
Yep.
Yes. You will definitely find love, 100%. Okay? Can we stop now?
One more.
Oh! Go on then. Oh, God in heaven.
Take that card, pop it to the bottom. And
Have I ever told you how annoying you are? Oh, that one goes to the bottom as well, does it?
add third one to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And take the fourth.
You want this one?
Yep.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yep.
Positive?
Yeah.
Put it on the table. Cover it up. Is this a question that you've thought to yourself before in the past?
Possibly.
You have, haven't you? This is a question you've thought about when you've been in trouble with your mom. Am I right?
Yeah.
This is a question that you've thought to yourself when you've been in trouble for not putting the milk away at breakfast. Am I right?
Possibly.
This is a question that you asked yourself this morning when your mom told you to put the food away in the fridge after tea last night and you accidentally left it on the side, and this morning she found it and she had to throw it away because she'd left it out all night.
Those are
and
favourite sausages?
they were her favourite sausages and you got in big trouble. You at that point asked this question, didn't you?
Possibly.
The question is, how can you help more? Be less of a scatterbrain and remember to do everything that your mom tells you to. Ouch. Right, okay, we're definitely done. There we go. Reading minds. Did you like that trick?
And what?
My deck. Not your deck. What we have there is possibly the worst demonstration of tarot.
It was the best one.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I can't wait to see the comments to this video.
So there you go.
I mean, there's nothing else you need to know. Normally this would get 79%. And the reason that it gets 79% is because I would say, I'm not going to use this, and 79% is the highest mark that I can give something if I'm not going to use it. And this deserves to get a high mark because the marks are incredible. The quality of the cards are incredible. They're illustrated beautifully. The fact that all the information you need is on the front to cut down learning time is fantastic. The tutorial is great. Everything about this is perfect. And it's actually made me want to actually learn to do something with this. Now, am I going to start going out doing readings? No, not a chance. But am I going to try and come up with a routine that incorporates this for a particular type of situation? Yes. Like I've openly said, Evoke is one of my best-selling tricks of all time. I don't use Evoke all the time because I'm in situations an awful lot where Evoke wouldn't suit me and it doesn't suit my personality. But there's other times where it's absolutely perfect. Over the summer, I do a lot of house parties and Evoke always comes with me to house parties where I've got more time to sit down people and build up like a longer performance because there's maybe 20 or 30 people. I'm there for a couple of hours. That is where I want to do this. And I think that, you know, I've talked on this channel in the past about hook lines and grabbing people's attention. I think you're going to grab people's attention the second that you bring this out of your pocket. So I love it. I think it's great. I'm definitely going to be working with it. I'm going to give it 100%. I mean, if you're a magician, if you're a mentalist, this is something that you should absolutely have in your arsenal. If you are a tarot worker or you're somebody who has tarot in their work, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to have this. This is absolutely brilliant, and there's been a gap in the market for a long time. A lot of people have been saying we need a marked tarot deck, and I'm so glad that Phill was the person that decided to go ahead with that. So I'm giving it 100%. I think it's brilliant. Now you can get it from all the magic dealers because it's gone through Murphy's, but if you are able to support Phill Smith and get it from Phill Smith Creative, I would highly suggest you do because it's always nice to support the creator. But it gets 100% from me, and I will check back in with you guys and let you know how my tarot journey is going. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for Phill for jumping in and doing an interview with me. And thank you to my daughter Thea for allowing me to completely butcher Phil's trick. Do me a favour, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have you picked this up yet? Were you one of the original Kickstarters? What do you think of it? I absolutely love this. If you want to see more videos, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video, another 5x5, which is going to be going up tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If you're over here in the UK, have a great bank holiday. If you're anywhere else in the world, I hope you're having a great Easter. And I hope any wrestling fans out there enjoy WrestleMania Night 2. I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.